Welcome back to the Slam Duncan YouTube channel. I'm going to be talking about one of the best players right now on the Bulls roster, and I would argue the best player right now on the Bulls. And the reason why I'm going to be talking about him is because, as we know, Karnisovas and Eversley are now officially in the front office, and the front office is completely redone. And that brings up the questions of what players are going to be staying, what players are going to be gone when we see this team play again, because the front office is now completely redone. Therefore, we start thinking of what changes are they going to make, especially to the roster. So I'm going to be talking about Zach LaVine and his future for the Bulls, and also this video is specifically for people to stop hating on Zach LaVine, and I'm going to get to that and break it down for you guys. But before we get to that, though, make sure you leave a like on the video. Also, if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I've realized that over 80% of the people that watch my videos are not subscribed to my channel, so definitely hit that subscribe button. Also, follow me on Twitter at Duncan_White14. But let's get into this. First thing I want to talk about before we get into the people hating on LaVine is that I want to talk about what my vision is for LaVine moving forward with this Bulls team. And I personally believe that both Karnisovas and Eversley value what LaVine brings to this roster. And a lot of people have been asking, like, can Zach LaVine be the #1 option on a championship contender? And the way I put it is this, like, I do not think Zach LaVine can be your best player on a championship level team. However, I do think Zach LaVine can be your #1 offensive option on a championship contender. And the way I phrase it is that, think of it like with the Utah Jazz currently. I would argue with the Utah Jazz that Rudy Gobert is the best player on the Utah Jazz. However, obviously we know Gobert is not the best offensive option because he does not have that much offensive weapons in his arsenal. So I then say that Mitchell is obviously the #1 offensive option, but I don't think he's the best player. So, and I believe the Jazz are contenders, like maybe not this season, but if they keep that group together moving forward, I definitely see the Jazz as contenders, especially with Mitchell getting another year of growth. So that's the way I see Zach LaVine on this Bulls roster moving forward, is that he is not going to be the best overall player on the roster, but I do see Zach LaVine as being the #1 scoring option. And to think about the fact that Zach LaVine averaged 25.5 points per game on pretty good shooting splits in a boiling run offense that has absolutely no off-ball movement, no pick-and-roll action, no floppy action. Not to mention this Bulls team has very little spacing, very little rebounding, very little good play from the big men, and the fact that at one point the entire front court for the Bulls was out for 15-plus games altogether. The fact that Zach LaVine averaged 25.5 points per game while shooting pretty efficiently, it just mind boggles me at the fact that he is able to even do that. Now think of Zach LaVine though in a well-coached offense with more shooters around him, more quality type players around him, and more spacing and better plays. And I think Zach LaVine can average 30 in today's NBA game, and that averaging 30, you should be the #1 option in an offense, no doubt about it. So I don't know what that means specifically for what the Bulls need to do, but whether that's, maybe not have Wendell Carter Jr. be at the center and try to find a guy like Rudy Gobert, or whether that means, get a new small forward that can average it like around 20 points per game, but is also your best defender and a pretty good ball handler. That person would be the best overall player because they're a better defender and they bring more versatility, but they're not going to be the #1 scoring option. Zach LaVine will. And I think just that itself, that pushes this Bulls team to a whole new level. And that's the reason why I think Zach LaVine is going to be a huge part of this Bulls team moving forward. Not to mention he's also on a very team-friendly contract, so I don't see Zach LaVine going anywhere unless the Bulls get an astronomical offer, like a superstar or like a bunch of picks for him. So that's what I see for Zach LaVine in the future. A lot of trade, options are popping up, especially from Bleacher Report, and these trade offers just don't understand how good of a player Zach LaVine is. I mean, I saw one as like Zach LaVine for like Ntilikina and Knox and a second-round pick or something like that, and that's just so disrespectful to what Zach LaVine has done. And Knox and Ntilikina have not done anything really in the NBA. So I just want to point that out with Zach LaVine, is that he can definitely be a number one scoring option on a championship level team. He just can't be the best player on a championship level team overall wise. But the other thing I want to talk about, and it's like the main part of the video, is that I have been seeing way too much Zach LaVine hate in just the past couple of days. Now that Mark Eversley is officially the GM, he came out and said that he values defensive versatility, and immediately what I saw under the Twitter replies is that, oh, Zach LaVine's gone, Zach LaVine's sweating right now, oh, Zach LaVine's officially out of here. And I'm just thinking to myself, you know, while Zach LaVine isn't the greatest defender, I'm just shocked to see that there are so many people immediately saying, oh, Zach LaVine's out of here, but no one mentioned Lauri Markkanen. And this brings me to my other part, is that I've seen so many people, and even some people in my comments section, say that Zach LaVine needs to go because he's not a team player, he's a terrible defender, he doesn't know how to create shots for others, but then they say Lauri Markkanen should stay, and it's unfair to judge Markkanen right now due to the fact that he's been injured so much and he plays under Boylen, who's a horrible coach. And I think to myself, like, okay, those excuses for Markkanen, that's fair. Yes, he plays under Boylen, who doesn't run offense for him, and Boylen is obviously a terrible coach. But Zach LaVine is also coached under Boylen, and Zach LaVine's under the same awful offense as Lauri Markkanen. So if you're going to use Boylen as an excuse for Markkanen's terrible play, well, you can't hate on Zach LaVine then, at all. There is no reason for you to hate on Zach LaVine. If you're going to say that Boylen's the reason why for Markkanen, you can't judge Markkanen, but we need to get rid of Zach. You can't do that. There is no logical argument there whatsoever. Now, the other argument for Markkanen is that he has missed a lot of games. So yes, Markkanen also missed games. So unlike Zach LaVine has not missed many games the past 2 seasons. But then, if you think about it, Zach LaVine then has to deal with all these injuries. So there was at one point, remember that the entire front court starting lineup for the Bulls was out for like a good 10 plus games or 15 plus games. And if you think about the starting lineup that Zach LaVine was playing with, it was Satoransky at point guard, but then that means you had Cristiano Felicio or Luke Cornett at the center position. You have Thaddeus Young, who's officially shown that he's a washed-up player at this point at power forward. And then it was Chris Dunn, who can't shoot the ball very consistently, at small forward, or Denzel Valentine or Chandler Hutchison. Not very good players at the small forward position, right? So yes, Markkanen was injured, so you can't fairly judge him, but that means you can't fairly judge Zach LaVine because Markkanen, the starting power forward, was injured. Wendell Carter Jr. missed a bunch of games. OPJ missed 3+ months. So yes, you can bring up that Markkanen, you can't fairly judge him because he didn't play many games, but that affects Zach LaVine because Zach LaVine has to deal with that. And Zach LaVine has been the most healthiest player on this Bulls roster, at least for the top tier players on this Bulls roster. And you cannot say that Zach LaVine deserves to go and we can judge him when you're going to say that Lauri Markkanen can't be judged because he's been out for too many games. That is an unfair way to judge both those players. If you're going to hate on Zach LaVine for what he has done for this Bulls team, that's fine with me. But you better be hating on Lauri Markkanen too. You better be hating on every single other player on this Bulls roster because nobody on this Bulls roster has done what Zach LaVine has done the past 2 seasons. Zach LaVine has carried this Bulls team for the past 2 seasons. And if Zach LaVine's not on this roster, this Bulls team right now has 15 wins, maybe 15 wins, and is by far the worst offense in the league, which we basically already are, and by far not going to be able to score close to 100 points every single game. Like, it would be that bad. And to say that Zach LaVine needs to go is the reason why this Bulls team is struggling, well, you better be hating on every single other player because none of the other players have shown any capability to play how Zach LaVine has played the past 2 seasons. So I wanted to address that because I've just seen so many people saying, oh, Zach LaVine's out of here officially. Or Zach LaVine, maybe Karnisovas or Eversley are seeing that Zach LaVine's the reason why this Bulls team is awful. We need to get rid of him. I'm like, you know what? You can say that, but you better not be defending Markkanen then because Markkanen has shown very little ability to play and be the number 1 option on this Bulls roster. So the other thing that I want to also break down is that people are have been hating on Zach LaVine's defense for a long time, and I get it, but let me put it this way. Like, Zach LaVine has shown this past season that he is a serviceable on-ball defender. I mean, he's not going to be a great on-ball defender or a good defender, really, but he can't guard superstars because no one can really guard superstars in today's game unless your name is Kawhi Leonard. So what Zach LaVine has shown, though, is that he can guard 1 through 3 on-ball pretty good. But where he struggles is off-ball. It's his off-ball awareness is where he struggles. But if you're going to hate on Zach LaVine's defense, then you better be hating on Lauri Markkanen's defense, because Lauri Markkanen has zero defense whatsoever in his game. He's a bad on-ball defender. He's a bad off-ball defender. Can't move his feet quickly. He can't rebound the ball very well for a 7-footer. And he brings literally no rim protection as a 7-footer either. So if you're going to hate on Zach LaVine's defense, you better be hating on Lauri Markkanen's defense as well. So you cannot be protecting Markkanen and saying that, oh, well, yeah, but he missed so many games, so he's not that great of a defender, that's why. And his offense is more valuable because he actually is a team player compared to Zach, who's a ball hog. But I'm like, you can't say that because Zach LaVine's defense has been better than Markkanen's by far, no question about it. And Zach LaVine has been having to deal with playing with Felicio in the starting lineup, Luke Cornett in the starting lineup, Thaddeus Young in the starting lineup, Denzel Valentine, Chris Dunn in the starting lineup. I would rather have Zach LaVine be taking a crazy shot than having Chris Dunn shoot a 3-point shot or Cristiano Felicio even touch the ball. So if you're going to be saying that Zach LaVine's a ball hog, think about the players that he's playing with, and also think about that Lauri Markkanen has shown the very little capability of handling being an offensive option, or even being able just to be a catch and shoot guy this past season. So I don't want to hear any more Zach LaVine hate about him being a terrible player or a terrible defender, because if you're going to do that, that's perfectly fine. But you better be hating on every single other player on this Bulls roster then. Zach LaVine is the last person to get the hate. If anybody deserves hate, Zach LaVine should be at the bottom of the list. He deserves no hate whatsoever because he has been the only player that has played well this past season and the only player that's been relatively healthy this past season. If you're going to be hating on Zach LaVine for his bad defense or the fact that he's missed some games or he's a ball hog, that's fine. But you better be showing all the other flaws in all the other Bulls players on the roster. You can't be hating on the guy that has been the most valuable player for this Bulls team by far the past 2 seasons and completely ignore the other players on this Bulls roster that have done basically close to nothing to what Zach LaVine has done in the past 2 seasons. But that's all I want to talk about in this video, because I have seen just so much hate and just, I mean, if you know who Ron is on, like, for Bulls Twitter, you know, and he has been hating on Zach LaVine so much. I've seen so many people who act like they've watched Bulls games this season, which they clearly haven't, and say that Markkanen is by far the best player for this Bulls team moving forward, when Markkanen is averaging career lows this season, and saying that Zach LaVine, his numbers are empty. But I'm like, okay, well, that means that every single player on this Bulls roster's numbers are empty as well. So you can't use numbers either in your argument if you're going to be hating on LaVine but protecting Markkanen or protecting Kobe White or protecting OPJ. So that's all I have for you guys. It's basically just a rant video, but I just don't want to see any more of this Zach LaVine hate, because he is the last person on this Bulls roster that deserves the hate. You better be hating on everybody else before you even start talking about Zach LaVine, all right? But thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit that like button. Also, if you're new to the channel, especially if you're a Bulls fan, hit that subscribe button and follow me on Twitter at Duncan_White14. And leave in the comment section down below what you think the Bulls should do with Zach LaVine moving forward.